Hello, everyone. Welcome along to the channel. Once again, it's good to see you with us. On this video, I am joined by the wonderful Tom Arbuthnot, who I invited along to have a little chat with me about the recent Microsoft Ignite. So Tom is well known to people all across the Microsoft community. He's a fellow Microsoft MVP, and he is part of Empowering Cloud. But Tom, for those who may not have come across you before, do you want to just say a quick hello and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Big fan of the channel, obviously. Yeah, I'm Tom Arbuthnot. I mainly focus on Microsoft Teams. So my background is in consulting around that. So way back to the OCS Link and Skype Business Days. And these days I primarily run Empowering Cloud, which is a community focused on Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365 modern work. We also do research there. We also do enablement there as well.
Fantastic. So obviously we had Microsoft Ignite last week. The Ignites seem to come thick and fast these days. There's two a year, and mixture of virtual and in person. I didn't get there. I was all trying to get all of the virtual sessions and attend what I could, but it's very exhausting, equally as much as being in person sometimes. But how did you find it, Tom?
Yeah. I was remote too this time, so I couldn't fly over. Unfortunately, it'll be Summit for that for the next flight over.
Mm,
It was really good. Like you say, it is a lot. Like there's a lot of content. I think as a remote attendee, sometimes it's quite good because you can just sit and absorb, so you miss out on the networking.
mm,
It was a little bit challenging. I think the session layouts, there was a lot that was in person only, but they would show them on the session builder for remote attendees. I was like, well, why show us
mm.
what we can't see?
Yeah.
Um, but nicely, loads of it is on demand now, so you can do the whole backpack thing and watch them on demand. So I would suggest just taking it piece by piece, dip into things you're interested in. And the nice thing about on demand is you can scrub through and have a quick look as well.
Mm, wonderful. So I did exactly that. I started with the keynote and I watched all that and uh, had a little game with my colleagues about how many times Sachi would say AI. We had a little pool,
You lost
and
count, surely.
I did lose count actually. It was just too many to keep up with, but it was a great keynote. I thought lots of exciting stuff coming with all the co-pilots, and after that, I sort of watched the next sort of couple of sessions and then got a little bit of fatigue, and I sort of dug into what I needed from the book of news and on demand after that. And I focused very much on my sort of main area, which is security, compliance, and identity. So I feel like I'm just about up to date with most of that now and consumed all that content. But I've not really had the chance to look beyond that and see what's emerging in the M365 world and Teams and all the stuff that I know you can talk quite
Right. Well,
authoritatively about.
let's shortcut it then for you and give you the highlights. So, I mean,
Amazing.
yeah, say it was Copilot was obviously the theme of the show across all the technologies. Microsoft are really positioning themselves as the AI company, the Copilot company, and I
Mm,
think they did a good job there. And even getting into building their own or designing their own chips to support the AI in
mm,
the Azure data centers. In on Microsoft 365, it was all about the Microsoft 365 Copilot. So they've rebranded the Bing Chat service as Copilot, so they kind of unified the branding. So
yeah.
you've got kind of Copilot in Bing Chat, essentially the web Copilot. Then you've got the add-on Copilots like M365 Copilot, and the other products will all have their own Copilots. And that was the main news for Teams. Is there is now Copilot GA in Teams Phone. So previously we had it in meetings. Now we've got it in phone. And the other thing they added was it in channel chat, which is quite
Mm,
important if you think about Teams because you're supposed to be collaborating in the channels. So
mm,
now you can query your data across regular chat, channels, meetings, obviously meetings and transcripts, and Teams phone calls both during and after the call. So it's bringing together this story of Copilot of saying, um, I've spoken to the customer in the last few weeks. What are the
mm.
summary? And that may be across chat, it may be across channels, it may be across email, it may be across meeting notes, it may be across phone calls, and bringing all that data together.
Oh, wonderful. There's just so much happening with Copilot and all this stuff going on. And it's what's quite hard for a lot of organizations is getting on board with it because there's been private previews by invite only and a certain amount of committed spend. I think 300, is it 300 minimum?
Yeah, 300 minimum so for enterprise. So yeah, there's been a lot of kind of friction enterprise. So yeah, there's been a lot of kind of friction on this, to be honest. I mean, like
Mm,
Microsoft is saying it's generally available or
mm,
enterprise generally available. I was hoping at Ignite we'd hear some kind of timeline for the rest of us. I mean, the most of organizations are not enterprise, like that is the
mm,
smaller amount. So at the moment, you have to be enterprise, you have to be commercially direct, and you have
mm,
to commit to 300 seats.
mm,
And most of the enterprise I work with have committed for their 300 because they want to get in the game, they want to understand it. That there is testing underway for the smaller tenants, for the business licenses, for the 300, up to 300 seat type tenants. There's no public timeline or anything. Microsoft are working on it, so they haven't been forgotten. But
mm,
if there was a criticism, it definitely could have been that while you're busy saying we want to get Copilot to 8 billion people, it's like, well, what
mm,
is your plan for the non-enterprises to get,
mm.
the full? Obviously, everybody can get the Bing Chat Copilot today, so there's something there you can get started on for sure. But to unlock the full summarize my emails in Outlook or
Mm.
summarize my team chat, at the moment that is limited to the enterprise customers.
Yeah, and do you think that has been a conscious decision from Microsoft based on bandwidth, capability of onboarding people to the Copilot service?
I think it's a few things. I mean, that they haven't really given a definitive answer publicly, but there is a technical effort to spin up the models for tenants. So there's an overhead
Mm,
there. There's also a performance thing where Copilot works better with big data sets. So an
yeah.
enterprise tends to have lots and lots of data bucketed in email and SharePoint, etc. So I think it's a combination of that they want to manage the onboarding experience, have customer success, like work through the success criteria. So there's that overhead, there's the technical overhead, and there's only a finite amount of processing they have as well in terms of their chips and data
Mm,
centers. So I think there's no one factor, but I think those are all playing in. But we do know they have said publicly that they're doing tests with business level licensed customers as well. So
mm.
fingers crossed we'll hear hopefully soon what the timeline is on that.
Yeah, fingers crossed indeed, because I know those organizations are definitely not want to be left behind. They want to get going with this.
No,
And
very often they're the more agile organizations actually that they're ready to do this kind of stuff, whereas enterprises will often drag their feet on this kind of thing. So yeah, there's definitely a pent up interest and demand.
yeah, and you mentioned that Bing Chat has sort of been brought into the sort of Copilot branding. Does that include Bing Chat Enterprise? Is that sort of part of that now as well?
Yeah, effectively now you have Copilot, like quote unquote, and that is what was Bing Chat and Bing Chat Enterprise. So when you sign into now called Copilot with
Mm,
your Azure AD or Entra, I should say, ID now, that automatically enables that like secure enterprise mode where your data is not used for training and all that good stuff.
mm,
And then you step up to M365 Copilot, or there are Copilot service Copilot they announced. There'll be Copilots across all the other products as well. But the M365 one is kind of the figurehead of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams. That's the productivity Copilot, if you like.
fantastic. So the other thing that I noticed when I briefly sort of scanned the book of news for Teams is that Microsoft Mesh is mentioned a fair bit in there as well. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean that was announced 2 years ago now, so it's kind of taken a while to come to fruition. But finally, we're going to get a general availability for that. So it's January.
Hmm.
So there'll be a mesh that everybody can access with default layouts. And for those not familiar, today we have avatars. So we have the kind of representations of us on video. Mesh is the full 3D world where you navigate around with keyboard and mouse and you have spatial audio so you can walk up to people and have conversations. Or if you've got the Quest kit, you can do the full 3D VR headset thing. And then there's a premium option of that where you can design your own environments as well. So if you're like an Accenture and you want to design an Accenture training space that looks all Accenture branded and Accenture color coded, you can build your own experience as well, which is
Mm.
interesting.
Oh, fantastic. One sort of takeaway that I had initially, and when you dig deeper, perhaps this isn't true, but I posted on LinkedIn when Ignite was going on that all the Copilot stuff is inevitable and it's great and it's the way things are going. But I wondered at the time if some of the progression and feature enhancements within some of the products had maybe suffered itself because of the focus on Copilot. I wonder what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Copilot and AI is the focus at the moment. So you can tell it with all the individual product teams, like they're all trying to push
Mm,
an AI scenario in. Like, here's Planner, we're bringing in AI. Here's
mm,
Whiteboard, we're bringing in AI. Like every product has an AI element to it, and that's the thing to do at the moment inside of Microsoft. So yeah, if you're building a feature that's not AI,
mm,
the whole market's excited about AI, so it's probably getting proportionately less attention. There were some nice announcements that weren't strictly AI. So
mm.
we got Loop's general availability, obviously has an
Yeah.
AI component to it, but Loop is kind of coming to life a bit more now. Also, a lot of investment is going to go on in Planner over the next kind of 6 to 9 months. So they're
Mm,
bringing what was Project on the Web, the kind of middle between, if you think of Planner as a really light planning experience and
mm.
full Project as like a beast that only I think 10 people in the world know how to run. Um,
Yes.
like Project on the Web was kind of in the middle. It was kind of a new web-based app. They're collapsing all of that into Planner, and they will have Planner and Planner Premium.
Mm,
So yeah, there are things going on that are not AI, but I think your point is completely valid. That
mm.
like if you're building, classic features, they're playing second fiddle to get AI in the products.
Yeah, definitely. But I can't complain because there was so much that came out of it. And if you did dig, there was something for almost everyone. The thing that I noticed that stood out the most for me in the book of news was that there was only really one update for the Power Platform folks. There wasn't much going
It,
on
it,
there.
isn't it interesting? Yeah. Well, I mean, if you like, I tend to follow year on year, and you can always feel a theme. And like, actually, like for a long while, SharePoint was the darling of the stack, and it was like all about
Mm,
SharePoint. Power Platform has definitely been a big one in recent years,
mm,
and it has a big following. Teams, obviously, particularly through the pandemic, got a multi-year of like where Teams was the center of the world. I feel like we're getting past Teams being the center of the world now.
mm.
AI is the center of the world. But actually, something I haven't done yet, I normally do is run that book through to do like a comparison of words in a word cloud and see what it is. But I mean, it's going to be AI and Copilot by a country mile this year for sure.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And speaking of SharePoint, though, we got the announcement of SharePoint Premium, which is an interesting development.
It is, isn't it? I mean, Premium again. It seems to be a new motion that's coming through from Microsoft now. Is we've
Mm,
had Teams Premium for a while, and now we've got Planner Premium announced. We've got SharePoint Premium. It feels like they're moving into this motion where we have the core SKUs, and then you have this option to add on a premium experience for a fee and add on extra functionality. So I think all the product sets are going to snap to this, and it'll be interesting to see how customers react because customers are very used to I've got E5, I've got all the things, and now it's oh well, no, you've got most of the things, but if you want this extra bell and whistle, it's a
mm,
little bit extra. Oh, and you want the planner premium, that's a little bit extra. Oh, and you want the this to work a little bit extra. So and Copilot, of course, in itself, $30 per month list, so that is an add-on. I guess countering that, we did see quite a nice announcement for customers, which is intelligent meeting recap in Teams, which is
mm.
currently part of Teams Premium,
Yeah.
will be included for Copilot customers. So they won't have to buy Premium just to get intelligent meeting recap. That will become part of Copilot. But yeah, on the whole, there is a motion of these upsells, and Microsoft are a commercial entity looking to make money, looking to
Mm.
add value. So it's kind of to be expected, but it'll be interesting to see how the customers react.
Yeah, definitely. And so back to AI in general, there was some very interesting developments in the last week or so where the CEO of OpenAI, Mr.
It,
Altman,
it,
whose first name is what escapes me for some
Sam,
reason.
yeah, Sam
Thank
Altman.
you. And he was ousted, but then very quickly turned up at Microsoft. So
It,
wow,
it,
what a
it,
sequence of
it's
events.
been a crazy roller coaster. So yeah, I mean, OpenAI is a very unusual structured company because it
Mm,
started off as a full non-profit. Sam kind of instigated it happening. Elon Musk threw in, I think, 40 or 50 mil. They decided as a non-profit they weren't going to be able to go as fast as they needed to with the money they needed. So they built a subsidiary that was a capped for-profit entity, and
mm,
that's what ended up having a relationship with Microsoft. And Microsoft put in or committed, I should say, 10 billion. Lots of that was in compute. That all appeared to be ticking on light, and everybody loves everybody. And then out of nowhere, Sam Altman, the CEO, got booted by the board, which was only 4 people, tiny
Mm.
board for a massive company, massive value
Yeah.
company. And then, so that happened. Everybody was shocked. Apparently, Microsoft got no heads up on that. Bearing in mind they are a huge investor,
Mm.
that's tricky. Satya said, like, great, Sam and Greg, who was one of the original founders, can come to Microsoft and do their own thing here, like basically OpenAI 2.0, essentially.
Yeah.
But I mean, and massive move by Satya, like to get that committed in time. But that seems to have then shaken up the whole OpenAI team, who all basically committed to go follow Sam.
Yeah.
And then now the board's changed, so it seems like it's landed on now. The OpenAI board is changing largely. One person's still on. Sam is back. The whole team are back, and things are back to normal. But what a drama!
Absolute drama, isn't it? And it's all eyes will be on this going forward to see where it goes, and in terms of that and the future of AI itself. I mean, I think it's very, very early days in the journey with generative
It
AI, and
it really is. I think it's amazing. Like you can go both ways with this conversation. Like what we're seeing is almost magical, but also when you get hands on with this stuff, it is imperfect. Like it's a tool, like any other tool, and we're
mm,
definitely at the top of the hype cycle. And like all technologies, it's going to get into the hands of the masses, and they'll be like, oh, it isn't 100% right 100% of the time,
mm,
and then it'll get better and better and better. And the funny thing is, the versions we're seeing now are the worst it will ever be, and it's blowing people
mm.
away. So you imagine 24 months development, it'll be really interesting.
Yeah. Do you think, and I'm going to get a little bit science fiction and Star Trek on you here because it's in my DNA. I love that sort of stuff. Do you think in time, as some of the people on various channels like Diary of a CEO have warned, that AI can evolve to the point where it becomes self-aware, sentient, and can decide that one day, actually, I'm not going to allow myself to be switched off? Do you think that's ever in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's theoretically possible, isn't it? I certainly think we'll see an accelerated cycle where, if you think about how AI works, like you can set the AI to better itself. So you can say,
Mm,
use this skill you have of understanding compute and chip design and technology and coding to rev a better chip that's better for AI to work, and it will get better and better and better. And that cycle at the moment is AI and humans, and the human bit will get the need for humans will get less and less. So like
mm,
just design better chips and da 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 da. I mean, it's still stuff running on compute.
mm,
It's hard. I find it hard to see a point where we as humans can't turn the computers off. Like if it
mm.
comes to it, like shut all the data centers down.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, maybe we shouldn't hook the AI up directly to like the power grid and the like all the key systems around the world. Maybe that's not a great idea. But yeah, it's a risk that should be considered. I think the
Mm,
more likely risk in the immediate term, to my mind, is people using the models to do bad things. So you can
mm,
set AI off to go, like, let's start trying to work out how we cure diseases. You
mm,
can equally set AI off if it has no guardrails to be like, what would be the worst disease you could generate? I
mm.
think rather than AI taking over the world, I think bad actors using the technology is a challenge. But I mean, that's the same challenge we have with all technology we create. It can be used for good or bad.
Oh, yeah.
I think that in the near term, like making it harder for people to use it for bad things, I think is the immediate concern.
Yeah, and I think now that Sam Altman and his team are over at Microsoft, I think hopefully that can bring some sort of cohesion in terms of the ethical story and the safeguarding story and all that sort of stuff. Because
Yeah, definitely, and it's not just Microsoft. Obviously, like Google are working on
mm,
stuff, like Salesforce are working on stuff, Amazon are working on stuff, Facebook, of course, have got models. So I mean, the genie is sort of out of the bottle now,
mm,
and obviously there's potential government regulation, but
yeah,
it's a global world out there, so there's different things happening in different countries. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But I mean, I think uh, with all technology, like you can't hold it back. There's no point saying we'll keep this in a box. Like someone's going to develop it somewhere. Everybody knows it's possible.
yeah.
So I think the best thing is to embrace it. But I think some kind of oversight and ethics and regulation is not a bad idea.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But it's got to be embraced. I agree. It's we've got to progress, and industrial revolution in the past, and this is that for our generation, isn't it? This is a moment
Yes, it
in
really is. It's going
time
to
in
be
history.
interesting to be like we're living through that kind of
Mm,
cycle of like, you see the kids today all used to ubiquitous connectivity and ubiquitous internet and
mm,
voice commands, and that's all natural to them. Like it'll be interesting to see to go through to the point where I'm pretty confident everyone will have like a personal AI assistant that consumes their data and knows what's
mm,
going on with them and helps them in their daily lives. And what form factor that takes, who knows? But like I think that'll be a thing, and we'll all be like, oh, remember when we used to have to like take notes in meeting and remember what
mm,
to do and like write things down in our calendar, and they didn't just
mm.
osmosis into there. It'll be. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, definitely. Will it? I guess will it make us more productive in other ways, or will it take away some of the effort that we as human beings need in our lives to stimulate and challenge us? I don't know. There is a mixture of both?
Yeah, I mean that's interesting, isn't it? I think we've got over the. It used to be when new technology came along as a kind of as a species, we'd be like, oh, like the robots are going to do all the things, and we can just chill out and not do anything. Like humans need objectives and need stuff to
Mm,
do. So I think there'll always be a natural motivation to strive to do things. But yeah, what's interesting is I think for the generation, coming through again, like if I can say out loud a question and get the answer, how do
mm.
I instill that need to learn skills and build myself, and that kind of thing might be a genuine challenge. But I mean, you could say that the internet came along and everything was easily accessible, and like
Oh
we
wow,
still
yeah.
need to learn things, right?
Oh, completely. And imagine a world without the internet now, and imagine a world without constant access to it. Like the early days,
Yeah,
I'm old enough to remember dial-up modems, and oh, you don't know the pain if you're of a certain
yeah,
generation.
yeah, totally. And I think that's the same thing like with AI. It's and there was an interesting educational reaction where there was the initial like, oh my goodness, AI is going to write papers for people, like this
Mm,
is going to be a nightmare. It's like, well, I mean, it's a tool, right? So the kids, students, are going to use it.
mm,
Teach them how to use it. Like maybe they do a starter paper on that, and then they have to validate it and check it through. Like that's the new
mm.
reality of work now.
Yeah,
So again, I think you have to embrace and roll with this change.
yeah, because that's how I've tried to use it in my day-to-day work and my community activities. I've tried to get it to use it to get me so far and say, "Can you help me get this content together in a
Hmm.
in a meaningful way?" And then I look at it and I say, "Well, I might change that around a bit and adapt it and put my own stamp on it." So that for me is
And,
how it should be
and it's
used.
that own stamp that's really important. It's like I think, ironically, this ability to generate content easier will flood the internet, the world with lots of mediocre content. Like there'll be
Mm,
lots of corporate teams that do corporate blogs that will just be
mm,
like summarize the Ignite announcements, generate it, publish it. So actually, this ability, you do with your YouTube channel, other people do in the
mm,
community to add their touch and their perspective on it, and knowing it's from them and they've taken the
mm.
time to produce that content. I think that'll become even more powerful over the next few years as people look to somebody for their opinion, not just a generated opinion.
Oh, completely agree. And I think it's all about that human connection and that human experience. We've got to retain that, and I think we will. I think we will. I do agree with you that there are nations out there and organizations out there who are in their hands. It could do some not so good stuff, but for the most part, I like to try and be hopeful and positive that things will go the
You've
right
got to
way.
be,
And
haven't you?
we've
Otherwise,
got
like,
to,
what do you
yeah,
what do you
exactly.
do?
Fingers crossed that it will all work out for the best. And I think the intention is there from those who are behind this story and working on it. They want it to do good and serve
Yeah,
humanity.
particularly the OpenAI project, it feels like very well
Mm,
intended in terms of
mm.
and they've been working on this for years. It's just come to fruition and public awareness, but they have been working on this for years to make it a thing.
Amazing. Well, to be continued. No doubt this is going to run and run. I'm sure we'll talk more in the future,
Definitely.
Tom. We'll get you back on and we'll talk more as this story develops. And thank you so much for joining me on the channel today, Tom. It's always good to talk to you. If people want to get in touch with you, where can they reach you? And
Yeah, I'm pretty busy on LinkedIn, so on the socials over there, obviously X as well, and the main site is empowering.cloud. So there's about 150 videos on there, including a bunch from your good self,
hey.
all around Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365. So we're trying to really build up a hub of subject matter expert content over there.
Oh, it's a wonderful initiative that you've got with you and the team that you've grown out. You've got some great people behind it. So keep telling that story. I love what you're doing. I love that you've invited me to be part of it. So thank you for inviting me. It's been great.
No, of course, yeah. Likewise, and great work with the channel, and keep it up.
Oh, thank you so much. Right, well, we shall end things there. Thanks to Tom. Thanks to all of my members, my subscribers, and anyone who's just viewed. But if you want to hit that subscribe button, it takes a second and it's free to do so. So give it a hit that button right now. I'll be back with more content very, very soon. And you all take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.